Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Location Intelligence 2021. My name is Kirk. I'm the Operations Director with IMGS. With me, we've got Gareth Cronin, who is our Commercial Manager, and Markus Holler, who's for the session is the first session, is Product Director for M.App Enterprise. Good morning, guys.
Morning, Ciaran.
How are you, Markus?
Morning, Ciaran. Thanks, good.
Yeah. Good, that's good. So we're just about to get ready. Well, there's still a few people just joining, so we're going to give a couple of minutes before we start the first session and start presenting. So again, we had hoped this event might be face-to-face, but
yeah,
unfortunately we are doing it digitally. But I think we're using this Cell Events technology, which we used previously for the FME World Tour, and it worked really well. And it means that we can see the inside of Markus's house in Vienna, which is good. And Markus hasn't had to jump on a plane. So usually we would have been in a pub last night, Markus, in Dublin, having a pint of Guinness. But unfortunately, nobody's having pints of Guinness in Dublin at the minute. So that would be something.
Don't be depressing everybody already. Come on, we're all
for next year.
Yeah.
So we have actually it's a really strong attendance for this morning. I think we'll again for one of our Hexagon events is a record registration, which is great. So is the virtual is working well. So we'll have two sessions. The first session will be myself and Markus. So Markus will talk about smart cities and M.App Enterprise, and then I'll give an update of the highlights of some of the key functions coming from the Hexagon products in the next in the current releases and coming up across the portfolio. Then we'll have a coffee break. You then join a second link to join, and in that session, we'll then have Armin Hoff, who is the Senior Vice President for Hexagon for the partner management for the world, and myself and Gareth, and we'll have presentations on some of the successes that Hexagon have had. We'll talk about also, Gareth will talk about our asset register, which a lot of you customers are using, and some of the updates that are coming. We talk about predictive analytics, and then I'm delighted to speak about a great customer success we've had in Land and Property Services in Belfast, where we delivered the year before last the photogrammetry system for Land and Property Services, which is a very important Hexagon solution that we've implemented that is mission critical for LPS and in managing the imagery for Northern Ireland.
So,
Gareth, you're unusually quiet.
I was letting you speak away. That's that was it. I know not to disturb you when you're speaking. You know, he's trained me. Markus is even laughing. We know better.
Yeah, when I'm rambling. Yeah.
Which is good. So no, looking forward to it. Actually, this was probably one of the few events I got a small sneak peek at it, but just been so busy and kind of working on some of the other stuff. I haven't seen everybody's presentation, so I'm looking forward to it myself, especially some of the updates in M.App Enterprise. It's really turned out to be quite a popular platform here in Ireland and in Northern Ireland. So really looking forward to seeing some of the updates, Markus. So no pressure.
Okay, I can take
that. Markus doesn't do pressure. There's no issue in. Okay, I'm going to. It's now going up to 9:33. I think everybody seems to be coming in, so I'm just going to share my screen. Share that screen one. Yeah. And there we go. And we have the presentation. And let me go to the start here. And I'll fire that up. Oh, that's gone onto the wrong screen. There we go. Let me just check that. Oh, primary monitor. Right, now try that again. Okay, so I take it you guys can all see my slide deck.
Yeah, Ciaran.
Okay, all right. So yeah, thanks everybody for coming this morning. Anybody who's just joined, this is our location event 2021, which you've got myself, Gareth and Markus. Just to welcome you all today. One of the big things is that we have two sessions. So the first session, as I mentioned, will be with myself and Markus, and then the second session will be Armin Hoff Garrett and myself will go through the different things. But the Hexagon and IMGS team are here to meet, so please use the DSL events technology, to ask any questions, so there's a Q&A panel on the side, but also B, to meet the team. So you can go to either the Hexagon booth or the IMGS booth, and you can actually meet some of the team there as well. And you really should do that, because the system does have a gamification process. So if you download a document, if you go to the booth, if you use the chat, Q&A, all these kind of things, you will get more points in your gamification. And the people with the two highest scoring people on the day, one will get a Fitbit, nice Fitbit, and the other will get an Echo Dot, kindly donated by Hexagon. So if it's a dead heat, then we'll have to do a wee draw if everybody does all the scoring. So please, and then we do have some other little giveaways like books and things if you ask questions. So please participate. It makes the event better for everybody. So if you can actually get involved, use the technology, and this is more than just a webinar. You know, we want to make it interactive. So the agenda for this morning is we have a first session is M.App Enterprise for Smart Cities. So Markus is going to take us through all that. And then I'll talk about our 2020 product roadmap. Then we'll hopefully have time for you to take a little bit of a coffee break or a refreshment break. And then the second session will get underway at 11 a.m. In that session, Armin will talk about Hexagon's successes during the COVID crisis. I'll then describe the photogrammetry solution in land and property services, followed by Garrett talking about the asset register and what's coming in 2021. And then we'll finish with a quick demonstration of how M.App Enterprise can be used with predictive analytics to really drive some better asset management workflows. And then we'll wrap up and have any Q&A or questions at the end just to finish off. So when we talk about our location intelligence platform, we are talking about two main components. We have our safe software FME, which we won't be talking about as much today, but you will see a number of demonstrations which are using FME in the background to do various reporting and integration pieces. But the main piece we'll be talking about today is the Hexagon Geospatial software that we provide, and in particular you'll see a lot of focus on M.App Enterprise, which we're in IMGS. We really are, I think, M.App Enterprise's biggest fans. It's a fantastic solution. I've been working with GIS and WebGIS for a long time now. I won't say how long, but I've always been asking for this one-stop shop, a single platform that has web, mobile, data capture, analytics, all under one hood. And that's exactly what M.App Enterprise provides. And when you see what the new version is going to come, with Markus is showing this morning, how it has integrated analytics to those workflows, it really is a game changer. And in IMGS, we've had some great successes. We have a lot of new customers who are now on M.App Enterprise. We think it's a fantastic product, and it is the main theme of the day. But also today, I will be talking about G Media. We'll be talking about the rest of the portfolio. And of course, the land and property services system is a G Media and ImageStation product line. So the first session, which I'm going to hand over to Markus, is Markus is going to talk about the latest versions of M.App Enterprise and the and how it can be used for smart cities. And again, I'd like to thank Markus for joining us and for all the support Markus always gives us as a partner. We really appreciate it. So Markus, I'll hand over to you.
Thank you very much, Ciaran. Also from my side, a warm welcome to this event today. Ciaran already made a good introduction to M.App Enterprise, and thank you very much for all of the applause you gave to our products. As you hear my language, I'm located in Vienna, Austria, so please bear with me if I sometimes use the wrong words, but I will do my best in talking English. So I was asked to talk about the new features in M.App Enterprise 2021, and I'm not really the fan in just providing a pure technology overview. I'm always trying to provide you a context and how the technology can be used in the different use environments. So for today, I really want to focus more on an example with Insights for smart cities. and in this case, more focusing on the integration of IoT sensors and how they can be leveraged inside of our platform. As a reference, I want to start with a more extreme sample. As you can see on the screen, think about there's a flooding happening in a certain area. Of course, in this case, all the damage is visible within seconds. But governments today also struggle in identifying smaller issues as they will have in their area. For example, if a light bulb is not working, or it could be that somebody is opening up a cable duct without permissions of the government. In this case, we really need to start thinking about a more modern way how to monitor the reality without sending out people all the time. So from our perspective, we can cover that up with our smart monitoring offering we do have in our portfolio. And for us, the smart monitoring is responsive. So every time something is happening, we inform our customers about that there is something ongoing. It's preventive. So, for example, if somebody is opening up a cable duct and the car is driving through it, it could damage the car. So it's also preventing it. And now also preventing predictive, which means we can also use sensor information to predict if something will happen in the future. And all of that is done in the context of a smart city. You have to envision it that you have the different sensors available as your data source. It could be imagery taken by a plane. It could be information coming from a database or from a CCTV camera. So all of these different information sets are going to be included into our control unit. And you have to envision this control unit more or less as an instance of your M.App enterprise, enriched with some other technologies we provide out of the Hexagon family. Based on all the information we're getting from the sensors, but of course also the context more from an operational perspective, we are able to create analytics based on it. So as a result, everything you have seen as a data input and using analytics provides you a very smart monitoring solution for the different activities inside of your city. From our perspective, we want to make it as easy as possible for our customers in using the software. So we are leaving more and more the space of the GS specialists. So in the end, geographic information should be available for all the different people working inside of the organization. So as a result, we said, okay, in the end, I want to create a dashboard for my city where I can see the different aspects being covered just with some clicks and without any special GS knowledge. In this case, I'm focusing on just one topic, and it's about securing monitoring of telecommunications infrastructure. For the reason a city has so many topics, and I can't cover all of them within this 15 minutes of the presentation. We have a customer in the city of Hamburg, and they are using underground cables for the telecommunication between the different locations of the company. They are owned by the city of Hamburg, so for this reason, it's also something more from a government perspective. And here it's really important, as there's a lot of confidential information used in this fiber optic network, that we are going to be notified if there's an unauthorized opening of this cable duct. That's mainly to protect that nobody's going to create physical damage on it, but of course it could be also maybe used that somebody's installing hardware to also spy on the information running via this environment. A second item we have received from our customers, they want to plan and administrate the maintenance of the network. So for example, if they have to do an inspection or if something happening right now, so for example, an unauthorized opening, then they want to send out a workforce to the exact location and provide them a mobile application to also receive more information. As you can see, the same pattern can be used on the different other items. So, for example, think on all the buildings of a city, or owned by a city. So, in the end, with a sensor, you would be able to trace if there is an unauthorized opening to it, or you can also identify if there are uncommon patterns. So, in the normal case, let's say a governmental building will not be opened up at 2 a.m. In the center of the night. And of course, there's also a benefit if you have this, not just this pure data approach, so the information coming in from the sensor, by using this also in the context of a map, you can also generate a lot more insights on what's going on, or if there are other patterns you do not know. So one item is, by the integration of sensors, we can identify anomalies. For example, a light bulb is flickering, and I get this information back from a sensor. The georeference is a bigger area affected, or is it's something just happening on a single spot. And then I can also enrich it with the data fusion to combine it, for example, with weather information or statistical information, which are normally not linked to this information coming from the sensor. And of course, last but not least, instead of just showing these data streams coming in from the sensors, I have a lot of possibility in doing a visualization on a map, on a mobile phone, or any other device you want to use. This was a lot of theoretical stuff, but let's take a look on how this can really look. And for this, we have created a demonstration. So that's the starting page of MAP Enterprise. And you already see a new feature coming up with the next release, and that's the dark theme. So to make it much more easy to use our software for our customers, they can now switch, for example, to a more dark theme to make it more easier to use during the day. What you see here is now we have this dashboard, and we have just received an alert from a sensor that there's a cable duct opening. So now we're going to the target section of this cable duct, and you can now see we have a specialized dashboard. And for example, we can now filter down on the alerts itself. It's quite easy, so I do not really need training on the software to understand also the Geospatial context. And what's also new in the MAP Enterprise 2021 release is I can now call also workflows. And I think if you have watched our presentations of IMGS or us, you have already recognized that this workflow is really a powerful application, so they can easily create user interfaces. And in this case, we want to schedule, for example, next maintenance. As there's an alert, we have to send data out to the system. So the person who has received the information do not have to change the system. They can directly create this job inside of the same dashboard. And as soon as they click on save, the people in the field will be notified about the change. So from this perspective, I have now finished my job to have this immediate response to it. So I can go back to my dashboard, and let's say there's a request coming in from a road construction. With the 2021 release of MAP Enterprise, we have also made the 3D experience inside of our application much more better. So as you can see, I'm still using the same technology. I'm still in the browser client itself. And now I want, for example, to define on a construction site if my truck or my crane or the element of my construction will fit beneath of the bridge. And one of the new features of the 2021 release is you can now easily just integrate, for example, point cloud information, digital elevation models, and all of that, or also real 3D building information inside of this feature analysis view. So in this case, I can now use the technology which is out of the box and make a measurement to find, for example, the height of the bridge. So I can provide the information, okay, it has to be less than 5.6 meters. But of course, I can do all of the measurements within the space. So how long the bridge is, what is the maximum width, and all of that stuff. Again, as you can see on the bottom, I can just type in this information into a very simple form and share it just with a click on save, also with the company doing the whole to the construction site. As I said, we want to make it as easy as possible for our customers to use geospatial information as a reference. So it's not the main technology behind it. Of course, we are still we do know that more or less the solution itself is the main focus. So GIS is stepping one step in the background, but by integrating all of the other information, it can be really powerful for your own users to enlarge their GIS experience. With that, let's summarize a little bit. So from our perspective, the main requirements are the identification if there's a need of action. So I do not have to take a look of billions of record sets coming in from sensors or also from satellites. In the end, the system should already tell me about what could be a potential item where action is needed. But of course, in the end, always the human is defining if there's action necessary or not. With this integration, we can also provide a continuous monitoring by removing the dependency to always do a new data import and always having this near real-time information available. The system will give you alerts and you do not have to watch it by your own. And as you have seen it, with the integrated workflows we provide the inside of the solution, you can also easily connect it to other systems, but also make it much more streamlined inside of the organization if it comes to work order management or any other task-related task to resolve an issue. Ciaran already pointed out, from M.App Enterprise perspective, we really want to cover all of the different bases. So what you have seen was just one part out of the entire solution. You have seen the web client of M.App Enterprise. But to enable that, there's a bunch of technology in the background providing all of the capabilities, like the M.App Enterprise Station, providing the different service endpoints for the different clients. Or Lucid Fusion is used for managing the 3D data and the data access there. And what we have also shown in this presentation, we can enlarge it with other technology coming from our Hexagon family, like the Exalt integration platform to talk to sensors. But of course, the same technology would be used by Leica Geosystems or Hexagon Geosystems to connect to their hardware devices. From just from this use case perspective, the conclusion for us is with M.App Enterprise, we can really provide new city insights by our smart monitoring concept. So the first is it's smart and pre-configured solutions. This means you can always expect that there's something already existing, but the real benefit of M.App Enterprise is we can easily adopt it to your requirements. So you're not just buying then a ready-to-go solution, but you always can be ensured that you are fitting it or that can be easily fitted to your special needs in your organization or your city. We also say that it always provides you access to the right information at the right time. And you can also interpret it in that way. We are filtering down on the information they are necessary to you. You do not have to deal with all of it. So the system takes care that you really have only to focus on the items which are important at this point in time. And with the solution, you will have also the full potential of the sensors. So it's not just storing information for historical analytics. We now can also take a real-time action on the different activities into your city. And of course, in the end, that's all the base to support the decision-making process, defining which job has priority to overcome a certain situation or not. As you can see, M.App Enterprise is really getting more foundation also for vertical solutions across the different domains. So about 2 years ago, we have launched a solution called Hexagon Smart Sensors, which is used for doing the innovation, doing the sensors within the different countries, like Bulgaria, South Africa, Tanzania, just to name a few of them. We have now created a solution around the smart monitoring concept, as you have seen it in this presentation right now. There are also applications for the defense space. For example, we have a product called MapX. And I'm already spotting some new information. We are right now working to launch a product taking care about mass transit within the next couple of months. Last but not least, second demo, more from a technology perspective. You may think, how complex it could be to set up such a 3D environment, integrating all of the data. Yes, that's true. And the most problems is with coordinate systems and so on. But just to create such an application itself, it's quite easy. So what I'm now showing is, again, my Enterprise 2021, fresh out of my development team. So we are now in the administration environment of Map Enterprise. We just said we want to see this project out of Austria, which is the city of Frankfurt. We have enabled, we want to have a preview of the map, which is in 3D in this case. And now I can define my 3D environment just with an what you see is what you get editor. So every configuration doing on the left-hand side will be immediately visible on the right-hand side. So as you have seen it, we have just created the legend. And now I can do some detail settings. So the administrator already can define, for example, he wants to enlarge the 3D experience. So he can, for example, define a depth of field, so getting blur in the background, make it more realistic. Or he says, I want to do a sunlight or shadow analytics. He can now define, okay, I want to see the effect of the shadow of a certain building in somewhere August 2020. I can pick a time and change it automatically in View itself. And of course, if you have a multinational project, you can also pick the time zone you want to visualize this shadow effect. And that's really just a sneak peek of what the new release is bringing. And with that, I want to thank you very much for the attention and handing it back to Ciaran.
Thanks, Markus. Just a question there, and just so the people are clear. That last piece, you were in studio, so you were in the configuration side. So you were doing live previews of the maps inside studio.
Yes, correct. So the administrator is seeing how the solution will look like for the end users in the second he's changing it.
Without having to run the app and look out and come back in, and
exactly.
yes. Which again is a fantastic improvement for us, because anybody who's making wee changes and jumps out and comes back in, jumps out, comes back in. So being able to see that live preview is really good. No, that's excellent. And when the magic question, Markus, when is the 2021 release?
Unfortunately, it slipped a little bit. So we're now talking about the first week of March. But as you can see, it's more or less on the doorstep already. And we took the time to also improve a little bit from the small items. So my team took up ideas from the community, from Hexagon Geospatial. So I'm really looking forward to share all of the details with you. But of course, you can imagine some new stuff which we still keep for us to have a valid afterwards.
I should be. We won't tell anybody here in Ireland, you know. No one has to know. And just on the new version, is this will be using the new Lucid RIA browsers and things like that? Is the clients changing, so there'll be performance improvements and things like that?
So we already integrated Lucid RIA in the last release. But of course, with the new release of Map Enterprise 2021, we also integrated the new stuff from Lucid RIA. To give you one example, with the 2021 release, we also support the visualization of panoramic imagery within the browser environment. So the new feature coming to Lucid RIA in the last release is now also available in the Map Enterprise 2021 release. Okay,
great. So things like those BL that take imagery around a room, you'll be able to view that kind of imagery in Map Enterprise.
Yes, or think about the imagery you know from Google Street View, Media, and all of them. You will be able to combine them with the point cloud, but also with your 3D models, and more or less swap between the different visualizations within seconds.
Okay, so again, if you've one of those cameras that drive down the street and have the imagery at different angles and all that, you can start bringing that kind of data in, so that kind of street view kind of capability. And the good stuff is, if you're going to combine it, for example, with point clouds, you would be able to do also measurements within the panoramic imagery,
which is not so given, for example, Google Maps. So there are really other new cool features coming up, but as I said, I do not want to spoil too much. We still have something for our release.
Launch. Okay,
Yeah.
well, when the launch comes, we'll make sure to let everybody know. I don't think there's any questions at this point that's come in, unless there have. As we're on track for on change, we're on time, which is good. If not, I'll kick off the next presentation. Yeah, let me see now. So share my screen. Unless you've anything to add, Gareth?
No, that's it. Sorry, I just noticed one of the comments there. I just text Tanya quick. Someone's losing the broadcast. So
hopefully, it could be internet. Okay, now. So I'm going to talk about the next one is a quick whirlwind tour of the Hexagon power portfolio and each of the products and some key new features, because we have I know today is a lot of focus is on M.App Enterprise, but we have a suite of products from Hexagon that we support and have customers across the island who are using. So it's good to give everybody a quick update on what's coming and what has been released. So first off, my favorite, G-Media. So we have G-Media Desktop. So with the 2020 release, they improved the web feature service and WFST. They now have WFS transactional service as well, so that you can do a better editing through a web feature service, and also something that's been long required, an Excel data server. So anybody who has used G-Media before would have known you can bring in CSV, you can bring in column delimited data, but now actually to be able to connect directly to the XLSX file is really, really useful for bringing in that kind of information. So that makes sharing information easier. Again, in the last couple of releases of G-Media, the Spatial modeler has been integrated from Airdas Imagine. The operators are being improved all the time, and there was grid analytics added there recently. The Explorer window now, so you have your feature Explorer, so being able to see what features are in your database, it's been improved. And in the imagery side, there's support for multi-band images. Again, G-Media 3D also has the ability now to do threat domes, and there's some new styles in there as well. And you can drag and drop images for images on warehouses. Again, something in a lot of other software people might have been used to wasn't there in G-Media. Now you can just drag and drop the image into the workspace and away you go. Geotag photos supported again, becoming pretty much stuff for the course. And we also have support for 4K monitors. Sorry, my mouse just jumped on me there. Okay, so just on you can see here with the spatial operators, we now have union and join. Excuse me. We can do summarize related features, aggregation. The spatial operators are there for hydrographic processing, so you can do fill, depressions, calculate flow, accumulate flow, and find watersheds. And there's categories commands for the allowing of the spatial modeling results. So the spatial modeler, just for those who maybe aren't aware, it'll get installed on your G-Media machine now. So you'll have a separate product. So this is the spatial modeler where you can build these models. Again, anybody who's used to using FME, which I think most people on the call would have experience of. Again, the spatial modeler is very, very similar. Both started around the same time, so they've both kind of stolen from each other over the years, I think. But now, once you create that model, it can then be outputted into G-Media and displayed as a legend, so you can see imagery, so you can do things like change detection or analysis, or even build up more complex analytics. Like G-Media has always been very powerful for doing dynamic queries and having the ability to chain queries, but you kind of had to remember what way the queries were ordered, how they called each other, and it became a bit cumbersome. Using something where you can do a GUI and have the spatial model makes that kind of chaining of queries a lot more easier to visualize, and that way you get the strength of the in-memory analysis from G-Media, along with the visualization capability of seeing how your model operates inside the spatial modeler. IMGS, which is it is part of the solution that we were talking about this morning from LPS. Some of the key features with IMGS, which is built on top of G-Media, being able to drape feature commands, burn vector data in blockwise, tie point, being able to bring in support for support and power and roads and power GPAC, and again the 4K support. So a lot of the functions here you might see were for our colleagues in LPS and what they were doing. But a big release of ImageStation this year is the support for MicroStation Connect. This has also been brought into Pro 600 for the Imagine side of the house. So Bentley MicroStation did change the products and made a major change from version 8, and have moved now towards using MicroStation Connect. So both ImageStation and Pro 600 for Imagine have both been updated by Hexagon to support MicroStation Connect, which is a big push, because I know the MicroStation customers are under a lot of pressure to get moved off the old versions of MicroStation over to Connect. So now if you are using ImageStation or Pro 600, you can move over to Connect. Again, with ImageStation 2020, there was a release of an updated digital surface model. So you can create surface models from stereo frame and satellite imagery. Replaces the old ISAE extension, which only supported digital aerial frames, and better coverage for fewer wide areas for things like rooftops and trees and water power and power lines. And the semi-global matching is 2 to 3 times faster with better overall results. So really useful for any of our customers who are doing the photogrammetry production. On the AirDAS side, we have, again, a lot of this is what we're seeing from Hexagon, and what you're seeing from Markus is the move towards more sensors, and also then using technology to process this better data and automate the processing of this information. So with Imagine now, we have a digital surface model extractor, which supports all sensor models and all raster models, and can generate the RGB for the encoded point clouds. It can be done both in batch and distributed processing as well, and can be done from Imagine in the GUI or from Spatial Modeler, and is now 5 times faster. So again, for those customers who are taking, again, naturally it's more in the national mapping area or map production area, but if you're flying these areas with your new sensors, being able to generate the digital surface models faster, being able to process data and create more accurate models is really, really useful, and again, Imagine is moving in that direction. And you can see some of the results that we're getting with this kind of DSM extractor. So being able to take the imagery and create the digital surface model and create the imagery out of that, which is pretty cool. And again, the big panacea of what everyone's trying to get to is automatic feature extraction. And hope it's not there 100% yet, but it is something we're all striving to. So we're trying to see if we can get there. Sorry, this mouse is a bit sensitive. And you can see the draped results of the 3D model. And you can see some nice buildings coming out there as well. So really, really good surface model extraction coming from the Imagine processor. And of course, this can all be batched. Again, Imagine photogrammetry now provides a complete set of tools for creating and managing photogrammetric projects. And it has an interactive tool with some batch capabilities. A common scenario is the complete automation of the process with no interaction. So again, with the Spatial Modeler, you're now even starting to do some photogrammetry processes automatically without having to have human intervention. Again, an important push, because even in today's world with COVID and everything, we can't have people sitting at desktops the whole time. Even stereo systems are becoming more of a challenge because you can't have these in your house. So being able to automate these kind of photogrammetric workflows is really, really important. So you can see now we have all these photogrammetry automation tools inside Imagine Spatial Modeler, being able to take in the blocks, add the imagery, manage the tie points, the adjustments, doing the automatic adjustment from the camera, and then being able to create orthos, mosaics, and point clouds automatically. Again, that just cuts down the manual work and then means that the image processing people can focus on what they actually need to achieve. And it means end-to-end workflows in one project. On the web GIS side, so on the GMedia web map side, we still got customers who are using these products that haven't quite fully moved off Map Enterprise, and you know, WebMap has still some very nice functionality and some good analytics that are easy to use. So with WebMap, the big thing we've seen in the last year's release was WebMap Mobile. So for field editing. So WebMap Mobile is a phone and tablet-based application for accessing and portraying geospatial data. The user can edit, validate, and update the enterprise GIS from the field in real time. Just need the connection. The updated data on the mobile device is instantly available for the GIS platform used in the same organization. If enabled, it can also be used in offline mode, similar to how Map Enterprise works, with a geo package created from the raster, WMS, and vector services. So again, for those WebMap customers who are still on WebMap, if you go to the newer version, you can now get a mobile app capability as well. There's also a mobile publisher for GME WebMap. So the mobile publisher assists in the setup of these apps, and it can address key aspects like user identification and field work. It generates a configuration based on the administrator's selections, and it has a quick start wizard that guides the administrator to create the maps and set up the workplace. Very similar to the web publisher, which creates the publisher app. We've now got similar on the mobile. Again, we have a number of customers who are still using GeoMedia WebMap. If you move to the newer version, this is a very nice tool that you can roll out very, very easy and build on top of your existing WebMap sites. On the provider side, we've seen now on the Apollo, so for the catalog. So Apollo is Hexagon's cataloging and data management platform. This year has seen a huge change in the GUI in how you actually access this information. Again, they've integrated Lucid RIA into the GUI to make it a very rich interface and make the user experience of how you search and check for your imagery and data so much easier to do, and of course being able to view both 3D and 2D data. So anybody who might have used the older version of Apollo, it had an old web publisher interface. It was honestly starting to show its age. So the integration with Fusion with RIA has really brought the interface of Apollo up to the modern standards and provided a GUI that, you know, sales and marketing or any users or public users can use and feel comfortable using. With this as well, again, Apollo has had the ability to support point cloud data management for a while, but again, this now is also integrated with Lucid so that it can actually crawl and register imagery from a Lucid tile service and bring that into catalog as well. So again, being able to catalog and crawl all this 3D data automatically and then make it available inside the new GUI, which you can see on the screen now. So in the Catalog Explorer, being able to see this information and then being able to visualize the data, do a search, so you can see the nice new search tool here as well, and being able to see the imagery, both 2D and 3D, that's in your system. So again, as we know with all these new sensors, we are driving more and more data sets, bringing more and more information into our software, and some of this data is expensively captured. So providing a catalog to store the information, to know who captured it, when it was captured, what it was captured, and where, is really, really important so that you get full value for your investment in the data. And that's where Apollo is an excellent solution for that, being able to see that kind of information in the browser and store your data. And of course, Apollo has compression capabilities, which allows you to store the data more cost effectively on your server and then serve it up for clip, zip, and ship so that people can download and use in how they want to see that data. So you can see here how the GUI allows the person to add the imagery to the map, and then they can see both 2D and 3D and data coming in there inside their catalog browser, which is, again, really, really, really powerful and very useful if you're an agency who's generating 3D data, to have the capability to store this information, to visualize it and share it around your organization is really important for the money you've spent on the capturing of that data. As I mentioned, We also have Hexagon own the patent for ECW compression. So again, there's been some updates in that last year, improvements in both ECW and JPEG 2000 support, and again, just improving the compression sizes and improving the speed of compression, which again, because of all this growth in data, is becoming more and more important, because I think the data growths are definitely outstripping savings in hardware and in disk space and things like this. So the geocompressor can additionally compress ECW and resample the information. So with update 2, the optimizations ECW are done, were well received, and update 3, they've improved the resampling again. So again, just making this compression work even more better. And Markus touched on this solution earlier on in his presentation. So just to recap, with M.App Enterprise, we now have this smart monitoring platform. So the ability to do smart monitoring, so being able to, across all these areas, taking in the sensor information from all areas. And with that system also now, we're also seeing things like the monitoring and management of e-scooters. So being able to look to the scale of the e-scooter boom. And I just seen last night, funnily enough, that there's going to be legislation brought out into Dublin to handle e-scooters in Dublin, because they were at the minute in a bit of a grey area as to, you know, are you insured? Do you need a license? Can you have them? And we don't have, like, I was in Tel Aviv last year, and you know, you just have your token on your phone, and you can walk up to a little spot here and just grab a scooter, and like same way as you do with the Dublin bikes, and then get from one part of the city to the other, and you don't have to be cycling or whatever. So they work really well in cities. I'm not sure how they'll work in Dublin, but there is definitely legislation. And with the monitoring system now, the Hexagon platform can actually monitor where the scooters are, who are using them, are they being, you know, where are they available, you know, what parts of the city are they free. And again, this is a really big area for councils and for government agencies to be looking at how to enable this, how to make sure that the scooters are being used properly, are helping drive a smart city and drive the ability to show how things are. So you can see there be parking issues with the scooters where people just dump them, don't put them in the right spot, throw them in a leaves or whatever. Being able to track that, being able to geo-reference and go, well, that scooter's in the wrong location, so we need to send somebody to go get it, to rescue it or to fix it or whatever is needed. So with the smart monitoring ecosystem, they can have a mobile app which tells you where the devices are. You can have a real-time BI like Markus was showing to show us, you know, how many vehicles have been, how many scooters are being used, where they're being used, and then, of course, historical level to start tracking things like, well, which ones are damaged, where is the high intensity use, do we have enough scooters in the right place, do we need to, at the end of the day, move a heap of scooters from the Docklands up to Christchurch so that they're in the right location for the next morning, you know, all these kind of things that you can actually do with M.App Enterprise. So again, I think also what I like to call out with this smart monitoring system is it's not actually reinventing the wheel when it comes to M.App Enterprise. This is the kind of stuff you can build. You're not developing a heap of range of solutions, but the capabilities that Markus has been showing this morning can be applied for any of these kind of uses, and is because it's a one-stop shop, because you have the ability to capture, edit, update, view, analyze data all in one platform. It really is the perfect platform for that.
It's also worth mentioning, Ciaran, it can be applied to anything. I know we spoke about e-scooters there, but when you think about any type of asset, so whether that's council, no, they have the mobile bin trucks. So again, that could be tracking where they are. It could be, again, libraries, again, in rural councils would have mobile libraries. Again, where are they? Where are the assets? Where are they kind of driving around? And then not just viewing them internally to see where they are, or gridding trucks to see where they are internally, but also then on the other end of sharing that information with the public, or even the likes of buoys, lighthouses, etc. Again, just think of some of the audiences there again, where you could have all these assets that are there. You can click on them, have an actual image of what type of asset it is, whether it's a vehicle or whatever it may be, and then obviously to have some information and just make sure that coverage area is there as well. So some really, really good points.
Oh, definitely. We are flying this morning. Usually in these sessions we are way behind time.
There's not many questions this time around.
Yeah, I think it's the difference between when you're face to face and when you're digitally. Now you do get prizes for questions, people. So time to get some questions in. But what you can see this morning, what we've shown is with M.App Enterprise, we have a very mature platform now over the last few years that can take on a number of different areas. But the idea of the monitoring, and we'll talk about that later on. So there's predictive analytics, using analytics into workflows to react, to monitor, and to act is really where people are pushing towards now, and what these platforms are for.
If anybody has any questions, please pop them in. We don't always get to have Markus on a call where we can grill him. So please, if you do have any questions, please pop them in. It would be great. And yeah, again, just reiterating what Ciaran's saying there as well. I guess we're just giving one or two examples, but I suppose showing the breadth of, I'm sure everybody is there thinking about, oh, well, I could apply this to a particular workflow in your own organization. So again, just knowing that you have those tools there is amazing, whether it's 3D, and I think 3D always looks amazing, but sometimes getting the data in Ireland is quite difficult. But again, applying it to just the generic 2D is just as good, I think, at times.
Well, again, I think with that, some of that 3D, you can, I think there is more and more data coming, but I think, Markus, can you extrude heights? So if you have a 2.5D, so if you know the height of a building or something, can M.App Enterprise do that kind of visualization?
Yes, we can do that. I'm just opening up an application on my side to show it.
Okay, good. Yeah, because that's the other option. Some of the OSI, the geodractory data, and some of the other building data, they have a height value which isn't 100. It's flat height, so it assumes the building is one height, but gives you it's good from an analytic point of view. And I know there's a lot more 3D data. I know Blue Skies have done a lot of capture last year during the good weather, and I know OSI are coming with and LPS in the north are coming with their 3D data in the future, and there's a lot more of it coming. And of course, mobile sensors are becoming more and more prevalent.
And again, even just planning applications that come in, again, you could have a process with FME that kind of takes that height information and then again, we can feed it into M.App Enterprise for the automatic to extrude.
Markus will bring up the demo. There's still no questions. Everyone does think it's perfect.
That's what it is. I'll let Markus show this, and then we can always finish that.
In a second.
Okay, no problem. And if anybody who missed any of this morning, or if your colleagues, I think we got a few emails coming in saying people were going to come later on or something. We will be putting these videos online at a later stage as well, so people will be able to see them. Sorry, Markus, go ahead.
So that's an example of what you have asked me before. So we only had the footprints of the buildings and information about the building heights, and we have used the same dashboard technology in the background just to extrude the buildings, and I can now easily navigate around in the city. And for example, here talking, I'm sorry, it's in German, the kind of waste management, the energy consumption of the building, the number of people living there, and doing an informative map based on the different themes. So let's say we are switching it now to the energy label of it. We see that most of them are green in this data set, which is not correct. Unfortunately, they just changed it. But let's take a look on the number of inhabitants of a building, and now have all of these extruded 3D buildings with the different kind of thematic visualization.
That looks very good, and that was all extruded from a 2D footprint, basically.
Yes, exactly.
A question here from Michael. Can the building objects be queried for their attributes via a click action or hover? I think I know the answer, but Markus, let you answer.
Yes, we can. I have not configured here, but you can easily just click on an item. As I said, there's no configuration at the moment here, and just see the information on this one. In this case, it was configured that way. As soon as I click on one building, we are filtering it down to the thematic entry. So you can see that only now the same buildings with the same number of inhabitants will be highlighted. but you can also hide, for example, tooltip information.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, oh, that's good. Yeah, so and again on the so in the BI we can have tooltips if they're turned on, and we can have an action as well.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
Or a workflow like Markus showed in 2021 now, so there could be a workflow there. So again, if you clicked on the build and say it's due for an inspection, for example, again you click on set that it's due for an inspection, assign it to somebody inside the organization, and then obviously they'll get it up on their feed for their kind of daily work tasks. So absolutely, that whole connected, as Ciaran's talking about, that kind of act, evaluate, or sorry, analyze, evaluate, and then act. So again, it's that kind of closed loop every single time. So.
Yeah.
Well, we can finish up and give people a longer break if.
Yeah, it's only come to half anyway, so that's we our plan would be to be going back at 11 o'clock for the second session, so people can get their coffee and do come back.
I think they need coffee. I think that's what it is.
Yeah. The and Markus, on any enhancements coming? I know you want to tell me, but the mobile is that with the mobile app, the workflows and. So just for everybody, that the mobile app is offline and online, and it can also then in those kind of smart city processes can be fully integrated as well.
Yes, of course. Out of the box, my Enterprise has this mobile application with it, and it's like also for the workflows on the desktop environment or browser environment. We have our mobile workflows, which are natively integrated. There are some smaller enhancements. This time we really focused on the 3D visualization in the browser environment and integration of the different data sources, and to make it much more easier. There's some major items upcoming for the next release, so 2022. But as already mentioned, I'm not going to share the details at this point.
And
if we had a plenty Guinness of them last night, we'd know.
And Markus, just on the sensor integration, just again, I know some of our customers will be asking, what level of product do we need? Is that the essential version? Do you need the fusion piece? Is it professional? If we're doing that IoT.
The sensor integration is done via this exact integration platform, which are not part of the native enterprise environment. But we will come back to you how this is structured from a commercial perspective.
Okay. And again, one of the things we're showing later on, so Xalt is one option, but we've also we've integrated heavily ourselves here in Ireland FME with M.App Enterprise for that sensor level integration and on the fly integration. So that's when we need to pull data from various sources. But with M.App Enterprise Professional, it comes with Fusion now, which also has supports an awful lot of formats and data now as well, doesn't it? So at the professional level.
Yes, the problem is we figured out that a lot of the different sensor manufacturers are using their own proprietary formats. So it's always better having a configure item like Xalt integration or FME in doing the direct configuration to understand the stream of the content, what the sensor is providing to you.
Okay. Wait, one last call for questions, and if not, we'll stop the broadcast. But just before we do, again, Markus, we'd like to thank you for making time, as you always do, for these events and for giving us a slight sneak peek. We do feel that we should have been more now.
Very slight now. I agree with that, Ciaran. That was probably a little bit too slight now, but we get it. We're looking forward to March, Markus.
There's another question. Can the BI app be shared with users, but at the same time restrict to show only the data buildings relative to them? So that's kind of row level security, I think, Markus.
So not from the configuration perspective out of the box, but yes, it's possible. We have done this for the census environment, where, for example, a mayor of small municipality is only able to see their municipality, but if you're going up on a government level, they can see more. But that's always a little bit, let's say, customization effort. Not big, but as it really depends on the requirement of the customer in this environment or this functionality.
Yeah, we some of the projects we're working on this year, we've integrated with the Active Directory side of things. So yeah, it's a bit of customization, but we look at the data is filtered based on the Active Directory role or the user, and yeah, we can go, okay, query that level and pull the data, but yeah, it's not drag and drop. It's a bit of SQL, but it's one of the cool things in Map Studio, how extensible it is, and I'll talk about this later on, how easy it is to integrate SQL, other scriptings to really put some advanced functionality without having to do, you know, I think there's a difference between programming and SQL. You know, I think, you know, programming is another level of customization, while with SQL it's very extendable, and we've had a couple of major projects which we can't talk about yet, but we will be, we've done a lot of work in that area, and it's really clever how much you can do if you have a good knowledge of SQL with Map Enterprise. You know, you can really extend it. Yeah, no, we found that.
And I think that's the real beauty of Map Enterprise. You have this standard function in Map Enterprise, then you can do customization by configuration.
Yeah.
In the end, there's also an API level if you really want to do some hardcore customization, let's call it that way. You have all the possibilities within one platform, and you do not have to say, okay, but I can't do it for the reason I have no access to the API or something like that. Yeah. So if somebody's asking me, can you do it with Map Enterprise? I tend to say, yes, I can. It's always a question on which level.
Yeah, well, I always say yes anyway, Markus, when people ask me, can we do anything? But yeah, I get in trouble for that, you know. I've been told before that I shouldn't be saying yes. Everything's possible. Okay, I think we have all our questions, so I think we let everybody take their coffee break. We'll get going at 11 o'clock sharp. I actually do think that the second session is a lot more content. We probably should have brought one session forward. Again, thanks Markus for everything he's done today and for everything. And yeah, please come back, and remember we have the quizzes. Oh yeah, go to the boot area, talk to the guys in the boot, download the documents, go to the Hexagon boot. Our colleague Andy Garrett, who's there, Andy's also good crack. It was good to have a chat to. He's the partner manager for UK and Ireland. He's in the Hexagon booth. Go talk to Andy, say hello, have a look at the documents, go into the chat, and you never know, you might win yourself a Echo Dot or a Fitbit. And just to be sure, IMGS staff, it is external people only. No Hexagon or IMGS winners.
You know who you are. You know.
Yeah. and misspelling your name by one letter doesn't fool anybody. No, it is definitely for the customers. So, okay, thanks everybody, and we'll see you at 11 a.m. Thank you.
See you shortly. Thanks for tuning in. Bye.